are a few of my favorite things. First favorite thing, must have Distress Ink. These are awesome because they stay wet for a little while, so you can really blend them. They're just so fun. They are made by Tim Holtz. He also makes stencils and all kinds of other stuff. So I love his stencils. Here's a couple I haven't even opened yet. Excited to use these, especially these clocks. I love those. And I really, really love wax seals. These are my super fave. I got this on Amazon. This is a wax seal set. And what it has in it is this little dish right here that you can put your wax in, and then you put a little candle here that heats up the wax. So I'll show you how that works because it's awesome. This one I think I got on like Etsy or somewhere online, maybe Amazon. This one came from my lady over in Belgium, Postal Love. She's awesome. She gets a lot of really cool stuff. These go with the Distress Ink. This is what you use to blend your Distress Ink, so you will need those. Another thing that you can keep an eye out for is just old vintage office stamps. This one would be a post office stamp, says airmail. Those are some favorites of mine, or just old stamps in general that have the wooden handles. Those are usually a sign that it's vintage. It doesn't necessarily have to be vintage, I just like them. This one's from Greece. I was supposed to go to Europe this summer, but because everything was canceled from the coronavirus, then I couldn't go. So I found this randomly sitting in the art studio. I thought this would be perfect for a quarantine journal because everything has been canceled in life. Anyways. But as a result, we now have time to spend at home, right? So we have to be thankful for what we do have. What you can do when you're coming over to your junk journal is you just want to figure out, okay, like on this page, I want to add something. So let me find a page that I want to add something. This was the page that I was telling you about that Caden has his picture in here. He's the kiddo that started this whole quarantine junk journal idea. So I want to embellish his page a little bit and remember that that one is his page and that's where I can find his information. Let me show you first how the Distress Ink works. There are a ton of junk journal videos on YouTube. I'm definitely not a professional yet. I'm working on it, but definitely not there yet. So definitely, if this is something that you want to get into, check out the other videos, get some more inspiration. I just wanted to show you some basics of things that you could get started with because, you know, basics are good, especially when you're just starting out. One thing you can do with Distress Inks is use stencils. So I've got my Tim Holtz stencil here and I'm just going to go over it like this. Another thing that's really cool with Tim Holtz ink is that you can kind of rub it into the paper like this. You don't necessarily have to blot it. You can if you want. Kind of just gives a different effect. The other fun thing with Tim Holtz stuff is that you can layer this ink. So it gives it kind of a grungy look, which I really like. Alright, so that's the first layer, and then I'm going to grab another color. These have little pads on them that come off like this so that you can change your color. Let's see, I'm gonna do peacock blue. Let's try that. These are the smaller inks, and these are nice when you're first starting out so you can try a lot more colors. You can get them in bigger things. The art store here in Houston is amazing. There's a whole aisle of Tim Holtz inks, and I want every color. So if you're ever wondering what to get me for Christmas, hint, hint, anything Tim Holtz, and if you live in Houston, that's the place to go. I mean, it's awesome. I cannot wait to get back down there. I haven't been down there for a while. There are a couple of art stores though. That's not just the only one. You can see that it's kind of starting to get that layered look. What I also love about Tim Holtz inks is this kind of like translucent there, so that's kind of cool. Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize these are clocks, and now we have a bunch of time because everything is canceled. So we're just gonna have to put a canceled stamp here. Canceled. Perfect. I love it. I love it so much. This is Archival Ink, and this is also really good ink. It's not as flexible as far as using it with stencils and stuff because it's a little bit different like drying speed and whatnot, but this is what I use when I'm just using regular stamps. One of my favorite stamps ever is this hand. It is so cool. I just love it. You gotta really soak it with ink though. This is a vintage stamp, and I think that there is I think some of the rubber is kind of like wearing off in some spots. All right, so I kind of like that that's over, so I'm gonna like stamp it on that as well. And do it all the way down so that hopefully it gets all the way on there. Yep, that's pretty good. And then I'm just gonna like write myself a note. Caden, the kid who started it all. Because that's where his letter is. That is just some simple things that you can do with Distress Ink. These stencils, you can get any stencil. It doesn't have to be Tim Holtz. So you might have some laying around, maybe if you've done some crafts. And if we go back to school, I plan on doing this at school a little bit. So I'll bring in some supplies that you can use. But hopefully we'll be going back to school. This is my airmail stamp. Love this stamp. I'm gonna go ahead and just put that over here. And I might even put it right here too, because I just love this stamp. Airmail. All right, now I want to find a cool place to put a wax seal so that I can show you that. Light this candle. Don't burn yourself. And then you're just gonna put this on top like that. You'll set this down here and then choose the color of the waxes that you want. I'm gonna kind of mix them. There's some green over here on this page that I want to put my thing on. So I'm gonna kind of mix some green and maybe a bronze one. And there's also a red bead that's up there, so I'm gonna put a little bit of red. That wax is almost melted, but while I'm waiting for it, I'm gonna do kind of like a montage over here on this page, and I wanna use this stamp as well as the wax. So I'm just gonna put this back here, let that finish melting, and then ink up this stamp. Another thing that you can do is dry some flowers to put with your wax seal. These are some hydrangeas that my mom dried for me. Still waiting on the wax. All right, once your wax is done, then you're just going to simply pour some in the area that you want it to be. Get a little bit on the flowers if you're using dried flowers, and press your seal down. Let it dry somewhat. This isn't completely flat, so I just want to keep it from running too far. And there you go. Now the emblem on there you can't really see, so you'll want to get a gold paint pen. It can be any paint pen, it doesn't have to be this specific one. And then shake it up, and you can use and that just makes it show up a little bit better so that you can see it. You see the gold on there? Yeah, I think you can. Also, wanted to include some of these goodies that some friends of mine sent. This one is from Amy at Amy's Art Alchemy, and she's got all kinds of really fun stuff in here that she sent me when we did a mail swap. I really love this one. Isn't this cool? She gave me like a bunch of different papers that are just ready for collaging. And then over at Junk Journal Lover on Instagram, my friend Hanny sent me all of these little goodies. So I want to use some of these. I love this. What a great idea to share stamps with people. If you want somebody's stamps, you just put them on tissue paper. I can use those in my journal. And I love these. These are my favorite. Look how tediously she cut those birds out. Isn't that awesome? I just love it. And then she also sent a bunch of papers to add in to the journal. So all of these things can be used, and I'm going to show you how. This is a really great space right here. This is a large ledger page, and I love ledger pages because they're really thick, so they're really awesome to work with. And what's awesome about this, if you don't have old papers like this, you can totally cut out of a magazine. I also really love this. It's a bunch of old wallpapers that she put in this little packet. And so I'm going to make a pocket for that because I want to keep that together. And actually she sent me this pocket. The glue just came off, so I'm going to re-glue that real quick. I'm going to glue this pocket right here. So you could put all this stuff in here and embellish it before you put the journal together. However, I did not do it that way. It would have probably been a little bit easier because you would have had a flat surface. I'm gonna take this over here and glue it. But sometimes you just don't know how you want it embellished until you get it all in there. So that's kind of how I roll. You know, like I was saying, if you don't have these special papers, obviously you're not gonna have the same ones. Just get some magazines out and see what you can find. So I'm gonna put that in this little pocket right there so that it's ready for me when I'm ready to use it. Another thing that she sent were these, and they are so adorable. They're little, they're definitions, and she sewed a little piece of ribbon on there, and one of them is a bibliophile, which is a lover of books. That is definitely me because I have books everywhere. Now I'm gonna try to see where I want this. So I've got some goodies here, and I might add some more to that later. I also really like this tag that she made, so I'm gonna put these back in there and just kind of, you know what, I'll put it in this pocket. So I'm gonna put that in this pocket too, so when I want to come back to work on more of her stuff, I can. I think I'm going to use some of these collage papers to embellish this Chipotle bag. I hate to even tear any of these off because I just love how this looks, but you gotta use stuff, right? I just love how she did those papers. These are just painted on there, I think, and they just look so cool and they're so fun. I have these two peg stamps. One is a Volkswagen van and one is a camera, so I think I'm gonna use them here. These 3 sheets right here, perfect example if you don't have a bunch of collage papers, you can make your own. She just took some old book pages and put some dots on there. These are some circles, and this is painted black with some white circles, and it looks so much fun. You wouldn't even have to have special papers to do that. You could just have regular old book pages. And if you don't have any old books, you can find those at garage sales. Your grandma might have some. Just ask people. Ask around and see if you can find some. I wanted to show you what you can do with washi tape. I've layered it here in just little different pieces. I've used some vintage wallpaper. You could do this with regular paper too. I love how you can layer washi tape like right on top of each other. So I wanted to share that with you as well. This is a wax seal that I did, and I just put it on a piece of paper and then glued that piece of paper to this. And then I also did some collaging with washi tape here on this bag. So I wanted to share that with you as well so that you could see some different options with washi tape. This is called a cluster, and it's just a bunch of different scraps. She's got some material in here, and it's put together with a little brand. I love it. I just think this is so cool. When you are journaling, make sure and keep all of your scraps, because you can use the scraps for things like this. Let's say that now I've decided I don't like that it pops open like that. So there is a way that we can fix that. The first thing you want to do is try to find something that's circle or square or a button. It could be a big button. It could be anything really that's kind of a little bit thick. This doesn't have holes in it. I'm going to take my awl and put some holes in this that I can run some thread through so that I can sew it on here. Be careful not to poke yourself. And I'm going to take some embroidery thread to sew that on. So what you're gonna take whatever you have, round or square, whatever, thread your needle with whatever thread you're going to use. If it's thinner thread than embroidery thread, then just double it a couple of times. Make sure you have a knot at the end. And find your spot. So we're gonna put it about right here on our cover. So poke my hole through here and sew this little buddy on. And hopefully my knot, it doesn't go through. Good. Now I'm gonna take it through this way. If you are a West Side student, the rest of this summer, your job is to collect as many paper things that you can find. Like when you go to your grandparents' house, if there's something that they have written on, like a note, like a to-do list or something like that that they don't need anymore, ask them if you can have it. Anything that's paper, really, you can do. You can use plastic stuff, like plastic bags of places where you might go shopping, okay? Any of that stuff, keep a hold of it and bring it to school when we finally go back if you want to art journal with me after school. And then I'll bring in some goodies for you to use, and we can just have tons of fun. I started it a little bit last year, but it was kind of hard to get the word out, so. All right, so you want to have it on there so that it's a little bit loose. That way you can wrap some other string behind it. I'm going to do one more time. And I will also link in the comments below a list for an art journal, junk journal scavenger hunt. And it gives you some ideas of things to save for junk journals. I'm going to take the needle and put it underneath one of your strings. And then bring it back up through that loop and pull it all the way down. So take it under the string, bring it back up through the loop, and then it'll make a knot. And you can cut it off. Whoop. I have some art yarn that I've made. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm teaching myself how to spin. It's super fun. Also going to teach you that after school next year if you're interested. So I'm gonna take some of this and wrap it around and make this kind of like my closure, I guess you could call it. This is a little like string that I'm gonna just snip off there. Now, if you don't have any yarn or anything thicker, you can use whatever you use to sew this on. You really basically can use anything. I'm just using this yarn because it's awesome and I have some of it. So if you don't have any, it's completely fine. All right, then I'm gonna like bring it up around here and I wanna do one more loop around my journal. This Chewy's bag is a little bit large, so I think I'm just gonna fold it in a little bit more and then pull this around however tight you want it to be. And then bring your end of your string back up to your enclosure thingy and wrap it around a bit and then cut it off wherever it needs to be cut. And now I have an enclosure on my junk journal so that it's not popping open if I don't want it to. Kind of cool. I like that a lot. All right, that wraps this one up. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Don't forget, keep collecting your stuff for your junk journal so that we can do more fun stuff next year. Keep an eye out on this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'll be adding more videos in the time to come. Thank you so much for watching.